always had that something in you where you wanted to strive for better. So describe for me, what has your journey been like in life?
The journey it's been very hard because, I was on public assistance, so it was like, at first it was a boundary there. Anybody knows about public assistance, they don't want you to go so far or they're going to cut it off.
When you describe yourself now, tell me, who's Freddie Stevenson, the man that you are now?
A few years ago, I remember in college, they would always have speakers come in and ask us who we are. I wouldn't have been able to answer the question. It probably would have had something to do with football or fullback for Florida State. I want to play in the NFL. But now it's just simple. I'm Freddie Stevenson, man of purpose.
This is a passion of mine. The whole premise behind the Jazzie Conversations with Jazz podcast is to spotlight the fact that it is now time for you to get your dope comeback story.
Hey, say Jazzie Conversation with Jazz. Jazzie Conversation with Jazz. Say Jazzie Conversations with Jazz. Jazzie Conversations with Jazz.
Every Monday, I call people into a studio and we dig into their comeback stories, because I know that we see people in their glory and we see people when they're on top, when they can have that silver lining to them, but we all go through some things, right? We all go through some things, and I think once we're real with people and we let people know the trials and tribulations that we've gone through, it only makes us human and it connects one of us.
So I just want to know, what would be your advice to someone who is looking to start their own podcast?
First and foremost, let me back up. Find your voice. What are you going to talk about? Is it something that people want to listen to? How long will your podcast be? What's going to be the consistency of your podcast? Are you going to do it like weekly, daily? Are you going to do it monthly? So once you find that, because that's going to indicate if somebody wants to listen to your podcast or not.
I do know how I'm doing it. I'm doing it with God. I'm doing it because this is a passion of mine. And when you are passionate about something, you're not going to stop. So it really it comes down to how bad do you want it. All right. Happy Monday, everyone. As you know, you are in tune to the Jazzie Conversations with Jazz podcast. And this podcast is a podcast that airs live every Monday on IG, Facebook, and also over on YouTube Live. This podcast celebrates the power of the comeback story. I talk to different individuals from myriad walks of life, from different professions, who share one common thread, and that common thread is the comeback story. So through their unique way of narrating the things that they have gone through, I am able to tell you the formula of making your comeback. I believe that you can come back from anything with God, the right resources, knowing how to use those resources effectively, and your willingness to do the necessary work. So happy Monday, Jazzie crew. Do me a favor. Right now, I want you to make sure that in the comment section, you go ahead and you tag at least 5 people to join you and watch in this episode. I want you to make sure that you also tell me where you are watching from, because I definitely want to connect with you. You know that Monday is my favorite day of the week because it is a new week, new goals, new successes, and we just knock it out of the park on a Monday. It's all about your mindset. So if you are someone who does not like Mondays, it's all about your mindset. So you got to retrain your mind, right? So it is just a fresh start for me. That's why I've always loved Mondays. And so I also want to tell you about something that you already know that is coming up. You already know about this, right? I think you do. And even if you don't, I'm going to make sure that you know by the end of the show. I am celebrating my 3-year podcast anniversary live show here in Lakeland at the Lakeland Well from noon to 5 p.m. November 9th. So you want to make sure that you go to eventbrite.com and you get your tickets right now, because we are going to celebrate. We have food trucks. We have vendors. We are going to have live interviews from some of my past guests and some of my new guests. I have people who just this morning reached out to me and said, hey, how can we get tickets to the event? So here's how you get your tickets. You log on to eventbrite.com and you simply purchase your ticket and your name is on my guest list. Listen, we have some live performances this year. I have You Flashy photo booth, 360 photo booth in the building. I also have Rent for the Event in the building as well. So you want to make sure that you are in the building. It's going to be powerful. It is going to be a celebration. DJ Ken Blaze is going to be on the ones and twos, because y'all know I love music, and we are going to bring that element of live music. It's going to be such a huge celebration. So get your tickets. And since I have a special guest today, what I'm going to do is, again, this week and on this show, just because I like you guys so much and I want you to feel celebrated too. So I am going to give away 2 general admission tickets to the show, the live show happening on November 9th. All you have to do is make sure that you engage in this podcast episode the entire time and make sure that you are tagging people to watch with you. All right. So without further ado, I am going to bring on my special guest. All right. So my special guest for this evening is someone, and I always tell you guys that I have been watching several people in the community, how they move and how they shake. And an interesting fact with my special guest for tonight is that someone told me about the moves that she was making in the community about 2 years ago when I first started this podcast. They sung her praises. They told me about the wonderful things that she did in the community, and I cannot wait for you to meet her. So I have for episode 134, my special guest tonight is Dr. Donishia Yarde. She's hailing from Auburndale. So if you know about that royal blue and I don't know if it's gold or if it's yellow, I think it's yellow. You know that you would be in Auburndale territory if you saw those colors, right? She is an esteemed realtor for Century 21 Myers Realty. She has a master's degree in mental health counseling, a dual bachelor's degree in business and human resources. In human services, she has meticulously refined her expertise in aiding others. Notably, she holds a Ph.D. in positive neuropsychology. She is also motivated and dedicated by her family's unwavering support. Dr. Yarde established Integrity Care Inc. in 2009. This distinguished organization operates a network of residential group homes catering to abused, neglected, and abandoned children in the foster care system. Integrity Care Inc. secured national accreditation from COA in 2016, and Dr. Yarde's professional expertise extends to her entrepreneurial ventures. Listen, from business consulting to a myriad of other businesses. She advises businesses who are both for profit, and nonprofit. And she's been doing so since 2006. She is the CEO of several enterprises, such as Truck Now Logistics LLC, as a freight broker. We mentioned Integrity Care Inc., advanced fingerprinting services, which offers a level 2 live scan background, and she's a screening vendor. OK Consulting Group LLC, which is a consulting business. Integrity Associates LLC, targeted case management. Integrity Youth Association Inc., a nonprofit organization. And she also has a Firehouse Sub franchise. Dr. Yarde epitomizes her entrepreneur spirit and business acumen. Now, she didn't stop there. She is also an author, you guys. She is an author and has made notable contributions. She authored the book Mind, M-I-N-D, Mind Your Business, 9 Keys to Building a Purposeful Business. And she's going to tell you all about that when she comes on. She, again, I told you, has a PhD in positive neuropsychology, and we're going to learn all about that. So without further ado, I am going to bring on my special guest because she definitely is a mover. She's definitely a shaker in the Polk County community. So how are you doing, Dr. Yard? How are you, girl?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing amazing on this fantastic Monday. I want to say thank you so much for being my special guest for episode 134. It is such an honor. It is such a pleasure to finally have you on my podcast platform because there have been a lot of people who've been singing your praises in the community. And I want to just go into it. When you hear your bio being read like that, like what does that remind you of? Like what does that bring memories of for you?
It brings memories of how far I've come and what I had to do and the things I had to go through to get where I am today.
And so when you hear that, because I know a lot of people are, when you have all of these accomplishments and you hear it read like that, and it's like, I know that I'm doing great things, but I have goals and I just do it. Is that kind of your philosophy when you were doing this? Like, did you set out to accomplish as many accomplishments as you have right now? Like, what was your driving force?
Well, really, I don't think about it. So everything that I do is it has purpose behind it. I don't just go out and just, hey, I'm gonna do this today. So it's something that is heartfelt, something that I see will benefit others, not just myself. So that is my driving force of what I do. And so I'm not just out there things for money, finances. It's because my heart is in it, and I just love doing what I do to help people. So a lot of the things that I do is not for me; it's for those that are around me and connected to me.
Yeah. So when you initially went to college, what is it that you wanted to do? Like we all sit and we ask each other that poignant question. What did you want to be when you grow up? Are you doing it right now? Like what was your goal? What was your vision?
Well, really, I didn't have a vision. And the reason why, because I was a teenage mom. I didn't know if I was going to go to college or not because I didn't go straight to college after high school. I had to work, when I was in high school, take care of my baby. So I started later on, but I knew that I had, entrepreneur. I know I did want to do business. That I did know from
Yeah.
young age. I already knew that I was a, entrepreneur because I was doing hair. So my first thing was doing hair. I did hair since I was 9 years old, and I was good at it too, But that was my driving force to make my own money, knowing that I don't have to be on no one else's time. It's my time. I set my schedule and things like that. So I started that early on, and especially after I had my son. I did that. And then when I did end up getting a job, because I had to work, 'cause I needed stability, I was a supervisor of 32 employees at the age of 17 years old. So, and everyone was older than I. So I was like, okay, I had the entrepreneur where I can make my own money. Now I'm leading other individuals that are younger than me, doing payroll and everything at age 17. So
Yeah.
that's why I did not stop because I knew that was much more into me.
Goodness. That's amazing to me. That you started at such a young age because I'm like at 17, goodness, like I was still in high school at 17, and here you are moving and shaking. And so tell me about your upbringing. Like I love to get to the root and to the meat of a person. Tell me about your family. Like was it someone that you looked up to as a precursor to this person has inspired me, or I want to make it because of the hard work and dedication that this person put in? Is it someone like that in your family?
Actually, my background was trauma. So my thing was to beat the odds, become someone different than what others said I was going to be.
Yeah,
Just at age 7 years old, experiencing all kind of abuse. I said this is not going to be a conclusion of my story. So that really inspired me. By having everything and losing everything at a young age. So my thing was I was going to set myself up to be where I don't have to, settle for Section 8. Although I had to, get some assistance when I was in, a situation of abuse relationship. But, I did not allow those things of my past to dictate who I was going to be and who I am today. So my
absolutely.
thing was not looking up to anybody. It was more of what I didn't want to experience, as an adult and have my children to go through at the same time.
Yeah. And I think that's a critical point when we look back at our why. I
Mm-hmm.
recently attended an event and was asked that question, Jazz, what's your why? Like, why do you do the things that you are committed to doing, today? And I think that if we get down to brass tacks with things and we understand what our why is, it's so much easier to continue to do the work that we are doing. Madam, you have an extensive resume, extensive resume. And I'm sitting here and I'm just wondering, um, how do you juggle it all? Like, so, and I know people who are looking, they're like, Jazz, really, are you asking her that? But honestly, I was mesmerized and actually very motivated by
Mm-hmm.
reading your bio. So how do you manage it all?
Well, I am a type of person that not a delegate. So
You
although
delegate.
delegate,
Say it again for the people in the back who got to have their hands in everything and micromanage. You cannot do all of this and micromanage and do it all. She said you got to delegate. Okay.
that's how I do it all. So I implement and I delegate. So that has been my success behind everything that I do, because once I start something, I don't just let it go. I make sure that it is set up correctly, and then make sure if they need me that I'm there to guide them. And once I know they got it, I go on to the next thing, because I'm easily bored too. So I don't like to just do one thing. So my brain never turn off. So I have to continue to do something new things, so as God download, give me different things or whatever, I go with it. And if he give it to me, it doesn't take long for me to implement.
Yeah. And it's like I love seeing the accomplishments that you have. I was introduced to you. Someone told me about your assisted living facility, the integrity home solution, the integrity, I'm so sorry, Integrity Care Inc. that you started in 2009. I kept hearing great things about you. Actually, Demetrius is the one that told me about you. Like Demetrius Hayes sings your praises. Like you are such a big inspiration to him in terms of the conversations that I did have with him back in the day. Like he always asked me, have you heard about her or did you meet her? He was like, Jazz, you got to meet her. Like she's somebody that you need to meet. And that was like 2 years ago. And I had heard of you and I heard of all of the wonderful things that you were doing because people would use you as an example of Jazz. Like she's definitely doing it. Like you need to get with her, you need to ask her. So I'm like, today I have her on my podcast, so I actually can I can just segue into asking you this. But why did you come up with your group home? Because what you're doing is something that is so near and dear to me. You are providing a safe haven for kids who are in the foster care system. They come from abused backgrounds, neglected, being abandoned. Much like I said a story, but I did a podcast at actually the Anchor House. And so um it was one of those most like eye-opening experiences that I got to partake in, and just to see the way that the facility works, to see the way that they introduce them back into society, or transition them back into society, the things that they have to provide for the kids who are there. What was your why with starting this facility?
I was once them. I was one of them. So before went into doing the group homes, I never even heard of foster care, children being in foster care for being abused, neglected, or abandoned. And I ran into, this lady because I was doing consulting back in 2000, and I can't remember, it's so long ago. Anyway, I was doing consulting. And then she asked me, have I ever did, policies, procedures for, group homes. So I was thinking like APD or something like that. I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah.
can. Like, I'll get you right. And so then she's like, let me send you the statutes or whatnot, or what we need to do in XYZ. So when I started looking at it, I'm like, dang, I'm like, this remind me of myself. I was in similar situations like this. This sounds just like me. So I got so intrigued with it. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do everything for you. And then once I did that, she asked me would I be her administrator, because my thing was just be a consultant. So I ended up being her administrator. And then at that time I was going through like a bad, relationship or divorce or whatnot. And so and I was like, well, I love this. I take my two children I have and I come live here. So I ended up living at the actual group home and was administrator. So I was there 24 hours around the clock. So I was caring for
Wow.
also mine. So me and my two children, we were up in the bedroom. We had a master bedroom, and from then, like I really realized that it takes someone special to do this kind of work.
Yes.
You have some people that go into it for the money, and that was the lady that I worked for. That's what she was. She's in it for the money because. With my money end up purchasing things, furnishing the house. And I'm like, how you get all this money and you
Right.
ain't McDonald's every night or whatever. Like that ain't cool. So I was, complaining to my mom about it and things like that or whatever. And so one day I end up because we mandated reporters. So I was like, this is not cool. These kids just doing anything or whatever. And so I got kind of like disgusted. I'm like, you know what? I'm a mandated reporter. You letting these children already come from a bad background. So you allow this lady that's greed and trying to, whatever, do
Right.
this children. I was like, no, I'm not gonna be a partaker. So I said, I'm leaving. I didn't leave the children. I want to make sure they had a safe place. And so I left with nothing. I didn't have no job. I didn't have no thoughts of what I was gonna do. I was like, no, I can't do this. And so, but I said, God, I said, you will make provision for the vision. I said, you know what, I love doing it. So even after the fact, I went and to our provider here in Polk County, and I was like, hey, I want to start residential group. I ain't have no money, ain't have nothing, but I just trusted that, God would give me, a
Yeah.
way to provide. So that's like, there's no need. So I was like, no need. I'm like, how y'all just closing down this?
Right.
Like, gotta be a need. So I was like, dog. So I ended up, and I just had got a house because I had ended up getting a house or whatever. And so when I went to the home or what, I was like, nah, I ain't better pay these bills. I ain't better do anything. So, but the Lord came to me. He said, how bad do you want it?
Mm.
So you know what? It doesn't matter where I'm at. If I want to serve these youth that have been abandoned, I will go anywhere. So at this point, I go anywhere. So it got to the point to where I reached out to Big Ben up in Tallahassee. So I actually started out in Tallahassee.
Okay.
In Tallahassee and whatnot. And so me commuting back and forth or whatever, I ended up coming back home a year later and found out that there's a need here in Polk County. So I was like, okay, God, so you did all that to see, do I really want to be in it for the right reasons?
Right.
Up starting here in Polk County in 2010 and been here ever since. So my driving force behind doing this is, for one, it was me. I saw myself in these youth, and I believe that I can help them and give them genuine love and let them know that regardless of what they've been through, it does not dictate where they're going. Because I was one of those ones that a lot of people gave up on, but it was that one
Yeah.
person in me and said, Donisha, I don't care what you done been through. I don't care what trauma you done experienced. You can be whatever you want to be. You can go where you want.
Absolutely.
So that's why I do integrity care.
Listen, that's tremendous. That that's what is needed in this field. And then just like you, like I hear all of these, like I started when you put your your ears to the ground and you start to just hear these stories, like these horrific stories of people who get these homes or who get these facilities, and then they don't do what they're supposed to do, and it is a travesty to these kids that they're supposed to service. But when you do it right, like you are doing it right, you make a great impact in the life of someone who will eventually and hopefully will give back just like you gave back to them, and it just creates a positive cycle of community work, and giving back. And so I I wanted to ask you, you established this in 2009.
Mhm.
Do you have a success story that just stands out to you, like when you know that you did not give up on this particular person? When you think back to that, who has that story for you? Like, who is that person?
I have one young man and one young lady. I have one young man that actually was able to get his own car in foster care, and that's rarely known. He had ended up getting a job. He graduated, and then he ended up now he's a mechanic now, doing paint, body work, and things like that. Got a baby. He's in school still, so like that is one like young man that I would never forget. That makes my heart smile. And then I have another young lady that she was she was tough, but now she's in the
Yeah.
military. So I
Yeah.
have the military, and it's just amazing to know that those that you didn't give up on, that you was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this baby. But she's successful now. She went through a whole lot even after she, aged out, but she still got on that right track. And sometimes it takes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. Donisha, when you think about your trajectory, take us on a journey, because I listed at the beginning of the beginning of the story in this podcast at the top of the hour. I described who you are, um, and I listed a lot of accomplishments. I listed a lot of things that you do. So when you think about your journey, start me from the beginning and move us up into what you have now.
Okay, so with my journey is it's complicated. And when I say it's complicated, because I'm one, how they say that I don't look like what I've been through. I'm that person. Still keep a smile on her face. And it hasn't been easy. You know, even now it's not easy,
Yeah.
but make the best out of everything that I go through because there are people that depend on me, so like starting out, I have 4 children, biological children. I have a 23-year-old son. He's in college. So that's that baby that, I
Yeah.
had as a kid that I was the board, or that if I had him that I was gonna be a high school dropout, I wouldn't be anything.
Mhm.
He is my force behind everything. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be who I am today. And I probably wouldn't even be here, period. But he the one that gave me life when I felt like there was no life, you
Yeah.
know, with all the trauma that I, endured, as a youth, as an adult, my children are who I live for. I have a daughter that's 21 years old. She's in college, and I have a 13-year-old and then a 10-year-old. So I have
You have
four,
a what? I'm sorry, you have a 30-year-old.
23, 21.
23. Okay, I'm like, am I hearing stuff like you have a 30-year-old? Oh, like I thought you said 23. I was gonna say, girl, how old are
No, no, no.
you?
Yeah,
Okay, okay. 23-year-old, everybody.
21, 13, and yes.
Okay.
But yeah, so but with all that, and then also leaving a legacy, to my children. A lot of us do not know how to, build financial wealth to our children, teach them, at a young age, so they appreciate the things. And like me, I don't give my children just, hey, just because I have it, or what I work hard, and if I work hard, you're gonna work hard too. So you'll learn how to appreciate those things, you
Yeah.
know. So a lot of things that like I said, I do is because there's purpose behind it. Even when it come down to Firehouse Subs, I'm not I don't like restaurants like that, but the thing behind it, when I was
Yeah.
a 911 operator, I dispatched EMS and fire. So being able to give back to first responders, and then also starting Firehouse Subs, because our youth, they get incarcerated, have backgrounds that they can't get, normal jobs, and they be homeless. So I tell my baby, I said, if y'all ever need a job, you can come here. You don't have to have no clean background. So
Good.
it's because I'm laying things and laying the foundation for somebody else, So that is, like I said, it's purpose driven. Everything that I say is purpose driven. And in the midst of it all, I remain humble. I told the Lord, no matter how high I go, no matter what I accomplish, I'll remain humble. I will not be that person that think they all of that, because one thing about it, you can be up one day and be down the next day. So you have to be careful whenever you do, accomplish the things that I have accomplished. And it's by the grace of God that
Yeah.
He has, because I've never been arrogant. I've never, made anyone feel less than because they didn't have or do what I do, So a lot of people, they don't, I mean, I don't do a lot of people, and it's not no particular reason, but I was like, why people, I'm the sweetest person, you ever meet. But I
Yeah.
do that I have a big heart too, and the Lord is not gonna allow me to connect to everybody, because my time is valuable, and I like to make sure that I'm being productive every day, every minute, every hour that I have.
Yeah. Making the most of your time is definitely a precursor for success. And so, Claudia, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for chiming in. If you are just now tuning in, I gave you guys a precursor to the opening of the show. I want you to make sure that you tag people in the comment section, that you share this conversation, because I really want you guys to be engaged in it, to make sure that, there are some nuggets, there are some gems that each and every guest brings to my podcast. And I'm forever grateful for them, because by hearing their stories, it is just an example of what you can do with God, number one, the right resources, but you got to know how to use those resources effectively. And like Dr. Yard is telling you, you got to be able to put in that work. You have to put in the necessary work. And as you stated, she never stopped working. And so I I had with some people. I see Regina who's checked in, Claudia's checked in again. Thank you to my Sora B who's been tagged in the comment section, rightfully so. You are an inspiration to people. And when people approach you and they tell you how much of an inspiration you are to them, like what do you say? Like what do you say to them?
I be shy. I buffer, like, I be shy. I'm like, oh my God, like, why you think that about me? I don't think like that, so
Yeah.
like, then I'm like, girl, it ain't nothing, so it is nothing to me, because it's just me. So I don't think
It's just you. You just have that drive.
that. Yeah.
Listen, I don't and I know that people are wired that way, and I always try to find like a formula to them. Like what is that formula to you? People who are at the level of success that you are at. Listen, you are a firehouse franchisee. You are you have a doctorate in positive neuropsychology. You are a real estate agent. You're a realtor. You have you are a freight broker. Like all of these specific things just go back and it reminds me of anybody who ever tries to box you in and just say you need to focus on one thing. And Denisha, I share this story with a lot of youth. I remember being at church. We had an event where we had to come dressed in the paraphernalia of the school that you wanted to attend. And we were paired with someone who was supposed to mentor us. And he asked me what did I want to be? And I started naming like three different things. I want to do this, I want to do. And he was like, he was like, wait, you got to focus on one thing because you can't do all of that. You got, and I will never, I chunk it up to him for saying what I couldn't do and what I shouldn't do as to how I am doing it. When I say I'm a mother, I'm an educator, I'm an event host, I'm a podcast host. Like I literally am doing the things that I told you that day back in high school that I said I wanted to do. And so when I hear all of these fantastic things that you have going on, and I am looking at these things like, okay, there's only 24 hours in a day. We can't carry the one, we can't multiply. It's only 24 hours in a day. And I'm looking at the formula of how multimillionaires, billionaires say they built their empire. You cannot rely on just one source of income. The key out there is that you have to have at least seven. Am I still on the right trajectory? At least seven streams of income. So we are a realtor. You are a doctor in positive neuropsychology. You have your Integrity Care Inc. Organization, which is your foster care system. You have Oki Consulting Group, which is a consulting business firm. Integrity Associates, targeted case management. Fingerprinting, I'm on 6. You have Integrity Youth Association, Inc., which is a nonprofit organization. Um, you are an author. You are a business consultant. I'm just like, girl, I'm at 8 or 9 right now. I am at 8 or 9 right now. And I'm going to tell you one thing that I do, what I love, because you hit on this. You said, we talk about wanting to build an empire for our family or create generational wealth. And then some of us just don't know how to do that. What I love from what I've seen from you, I see that you have a great helpmate in your husband. And so tell me how critical in all of these avenues that you have, that you are creating a funnel of wealth, of a legacy for your family. Tell me how integral having the right partner is.
It is very important because with a woman, this and a lot of things that I had was be prior to my husband. So in previous marriages, that I've had and had to get out of for um it was because they didn't have my back.
Yeah.
So it was something your growth. It would allow you to not believe in yourself and have to work even harder because of the stress that comes along with trying to prove, yourself that data man and this and that or whatever. So but having someone that say, baby, you got this, pushing you, and not allowing, making you dummy down for who you are. Because, they say, a lot of people say, well, some women say they want a man to take care of them. I don't need a man to take care of me. I love to have a man be a helpmate, because my thing is, if something happened to my husband, I need to hold things down. If something
Yeah.
happened to me, he need to hold things down. And so if you work together and build those things, to where, there is no intimidation or there's trust within the marriage and things like that or whatever, you can grow. You can go as far as you want to go. But the issue is when you have those people that try to stop you from doing and being who you are. And so that's been my thing. Let me tell you, this is the funny part right here. So I've always been a runner, right? So all my life I had to run, right? So I was like, you know what? Keep on running, keep on running. So my daughter had told my husband, she was like, I don't know how long you gonna be around. So baby, you try to stop my mom, she's coming right over here and Leo behind, you know. So, so she was counting years. Okay, it's year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5.
Right.
She was like, oh, it ain't over yet. We ain't past 5 yet. So, but this time, regardless, if I don't have someone that is abusing me physically, mentally, and all the other stuff, abuse, I'm gonna stick there, because in marriage there is gonna be times where things do get hard,
Yeah.
you know. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure that that partner gonna be able to hold you up when you want to feel like you want to drop your arm. So having that type of partner that's there to be there with you, stand by you through the good times, the bad times, the hard times, is a plus.
I love that. I love me some love. I love me some love, but I love when couples are able to do it together. When you, at the end of the day, when you go home and you know that, listen, I know this person has me, I have him, and we're just forging on together. We learn from our mistakes. We are able to celebrate our wins, and I just know that person just has my back. Like I never have to second guess that person. That I think is such a golden spot when you are trying to build with someone. When you build with someone, I look at couples like you and I'm like, if someone comes to me with that verbiage and you say, I want to build with you, let's get to picking up these bricks. Like, what are we building? Like, exactly what are we building for our family? When I think about we're building, I think about couples like you. I put Marius's comment here so you could see it. He said, the real definition of boss lady, yet so humble. Scary part is she has so many more blessings coming. Proud to call her sis. And so Marius is a boss, and he's very humble himself in his own right. But I'm glad to know that you are in good company with good people. So I'm glad to be able to connect the dots there. So people are watching you. People are watching you, and people are being inspired. Regina Moran says, good story, very interesting person. I've been watching her move and I'm inspired. And so these are just a few, of the comments that I am getting to see from this feed. And so you can't have the good without the bad.
Mm.
And sometimes I like to just let a person just stay in their glory, because it's so well deserved.
Yeah.
And a lot of us just see that silver lining of the person, but we never know what they've gone through. We never know what they are continuing to go through, because they just show up. They have this thing inside of them that just never lets them give up. And so sometimes I say, just stick with the good. And then sometimes it's like, do you ever feel like you have to present yourself to be more human and share like a downfall moment of yours, so that you can really show people, hey, look, it has not always been roses.
Hmm.
I have gone through some things. Like what you see right now, that comes from hard work. It comes from, first of all, prayer, the belief that God is never going to put more on you than you can bear, the belief that he has more in store for you. Do you ever feel compelled to just say, look, this is what I've been through, and if I can go through this and make it here, you can too? How
I do.
strongly do you feel compelled to tell people your hardships so that they can really respect what you've gone through now or who you are now?
Well, my thing, I'm very transparent, and I'm like an open book, and those that are around me, they'll tell you, ain't nothing fake about me. What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
I'm never a pretender, and like with social media, my thing, even with social media, my thing is I inspire people because I know that sometimes when you're going through, how you get your strength is by inspiring other people, how by
Yeah.
motivating other people, so but if you know me, you're around me, I'm not the type of person that's gonna fake it till you make it. That's not her. You
Right.
what it is, and but at the end of the day, you see that I got through it because a lot of times people feel like, oh, I want to be here, I want to be there, and so just have to go through this. You don't know what such and such went through, and the reason why you don't know because so if anybody ever just trying to make it seem like their life been roses and peaches and never been through nothing, whatever, you got to check it because in order to get to, you have to go through,
Yeah.
so really being honest, letting people know there are times that, that I've lived paycheck to paycheck, and taking care of other people for taking care of myself, crying like, Lord, what am I going to do next, and things like that. And even having all these things or whatever, there are times in businesses, and that's why I tell a lot of my, my clients that never be to the point to where you get greedy to where you put all your eggs in one basket and you pulling all this. When I tell my employees, I say, y'all make more money than I do. And I can proudly say that, because
Yeah.
I pull from one area. I might make $1,000 here, $1,000 there, $2,000 here, where, but it all adds up to what my goal is for myself and my family. So, and a lot of times businesses, they fail because they be like, oh, I got all this money coming in, and no. And so like even with me, even with integrity, my thing with that is it's ministry for me. That is not a
Yeah.
business. It's
Yeah.
ministry. So I say, hey, y'all better Google me. I said, I don't need y'all money. I tell them, quit. I don't need your money, baby, because I got this and that and the other going on or whatever. And I like that because when you serving people, you want to let them know that you're not trying to take from them, but you're trying to
Yeah.
give deposit something. So I'm very honest and upfront with my people. So being honest and letting them know where you at. And every day is not a good day for me. Some day I go in there looking a hot mess. I'm like, y'all, one of them days, So, and I'm not this glitz and glamour all the time. I don't have to step out and look with, have all this together all the time. It's just not me. I like to just be myself. If I want to ride on a horse, I ride on a horse. I want to get on my motorcycle, get on my motorcycle. If I want to, whatever I want to do, let me do that. Let me be her.
And you deserve to be her. Keep on showing up as her, like for real. I tell people like this life is so hard. And you inspire me so much because I aspire to be someone who just I don't I'm not looking for a paycheck because
Mm.
I don't care when I get paid because the money's in the bank. Like I don't care when payday is because it's always a payday. Like honestly, that's at the top of one of my goals. But when I get there, like I really want to be able to give back and show the next person this is the blueprint. This is how you get to that point. And I just think financial freedom for me is like such a big thing. And so I was so interested when you shared in your bio that you are a business consultant and you're doing all of these fantastic things because it resonates with people. Like I love to see people who just are for the most part stress free when it comes to finances. Like it's a way to be that way. Like, yeah, we're all going to have our struggles and triumphs. I mean, our struggles and difficulties in that being in that tax bracket. I get it. Let's make no mistake about it. Everybody ain't Donald Trump around here. Everybody can't just keep filing bankruptcy and all of that. I'm just being very real, but everybody cannot. That's just one of my goals. And so watching you move and you shake, it does inspire me, even though I have not once reached out to you other than to ask you to be on this podcast, but just know that people are watching and I do want to pick your brain. And so I had a question that came in and it's from Sequoia Davis. She says, what advice would you give other mothers that had children at a young age to inspire them to accomplish a life goal they had set for themselves? Like what advice would you give to them?
Go back and get it. My advice would be go get it. You can do whatever you want to do. It don't does not matter, what roadblocks is in the way. It doesn't matter, where you at even right now. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. And then I'll also advise them to find another mother that done been successful at it. So if I can do it, so can you.
Mhm.
You don't know how to do it because of fear. Because fear grip a young mother, that don't may not have support. Like, how can I accomplish? I want to be this, I want to be that, but I don't know how. So then sometimes you can, with like I said, I tell a lot of people, I was like, it's all your connection. It's not what you know, it's who you know a lot of times. And so when you are a person is genuine and you connect yourself with the right people, sometimes God nice no I ain't say sometimes God will place people in your life that will connect you to get you where you need to be at. You don't have to have all the pieces already together. Long as you aligning yourself up, saying, God, is this the right connection? Or is it not? Or should I wait for
Yeah.
another? And it's like even relationships. Is he the one or should I wait for another? So it's very important to make sure we be anxious, first of all, for nothing, and you pray on it. Say, because every connection is not a godly connection, and sometimes people can flash things in your face or whatever. And I feel like my thing is, if I got to compromise myself, my sanity, my dignity, all of that to get there, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so I hope to answer your question, Sequoia.
I think you did. I think you did. I know for a fact that you did. And what I also do know is that when we hear it, it is something that we have to do. So,
Mhm.
Sequoia, what I want to tell you is that everybody's journey is different, and absolutely what Dr. Denisha said, you have got to have faith
Mhm.
in doing anything that I've ever done. And Dr. Denisha has really, really poured into this, but and I'm doing all of this, making these expressions because I know it's difficult. Like, to hear people just say that you got to have faith and you got to work for it, you got to believe that you can do it. It's so hard when you just left Amscott and got
Come
a
on.
cash advance.
Yeah.
It's so hard to hear that when your car is about to be repossessed, or your house is about to be repossessed. It's so hard to hear that when fear, I'm gonna put this comment up there, fear is what keeps us stuck.
Yes.
Fear.
Mhm.
It's fear. It's a lot of fear. And just being very real with you, why are you going to give all of those things more power than what you're going to give what God can do in your life?
Correct.
And so that's kind of one of those questions where that's the question that you got to ask yourself. Are you going to trust God with this?
Mhm.
Pray for what you want, believe that it is to be, pray for
Mhm.
his guidance for you, pray for him, like, because sometimes we have these goals and sometimes it doesn't align with what God wants for us. So pray that he leads you to do what his will is for you. And like, look, you don't pour it into me, because you like, if you're genuine with it, he will align you with the right people. And every time that I trust him, because I go through my doubtful seasons, I go through my fearful seasons, and I know he just looks at me like,
Yeah.
have I not? Like, girl, what is it gonna take me to do to just get you to consistently do this now? And I'm just gonna share sharing those same thoughts that Dr. Yard gave you. Like, you've got to trust, and you've got to move, and you got to be persistent, because you can do it. I invited her on this show to show you and to tell you that you can do it. Like, you are looking at, I'm gonna go ahead and give you billionaire. Like, you about to be billionaire status. I know. But you about to be billionaire status. Because you got the makings. I'm like, I'm listening to your story. I look and I'm like, I saw, first of all, I love flowers. And I hated that I missed your was it a retreat that you had? Explain to me what the event was. Like, it was just blooming season everywhere. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my type of event. Like, looking at Facebook, I'm like, I can just smell the fragrant flowers throughout it. I'm like, I wish I was there. I was so disappointed that I did not get a ticket. So tell me about that event.
So Flowers in the Garden, I have an annual tea party every year. And the Lord gave me flowers in the garden because all of us ladies, women, we are all flowers. And so a lot of times whenever, flowers are blooming, they bloom at different seasons, different times. And I just wanted to bring something around Mother's Day to let
Yeah.
whether you're let you know that just because you may not be blooming now don't mean you're gonna bloom later, that you won't bloom later. And so I first couple of years I chose like a carnation, I chose like a rose, sunflower, I use
Yeah.
different flowers, and I explain what that flower does. Whatever the Lord give me, I do it. But this past year I didn't do that. I said because there are so many different women from different walks of life or whatnot. So I didn't want to just segregate, just
Yeah.
putting flower, because that one woman said that ain't me. I don't fall in that category, so I didn't want that this year.
Yeah.
So but I do that because a lot of times, and see, even with that, so I did this. That was my fourth year doing flowers in the garden, and so my thing is she believed she could, so she did. She's going places, and so
Yes.
when I
I
do
have that hanging in my office right now. Right now.
you be, so can you do. So I was like, you know what, so my thing is, don't ever put me in no box. So sometimes, like years ago, I was like, I gotta get out of Polk County, my mind too big for this or whatever, and people, they don't da 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 da. And the Lord said, you can stay right where you at. He said, you may travel the world, do things, plant seeds different places, but you need to stay right here until I tell you to move. So I'm still sitting my behind right here in Polk County.
Yeah.
And so this past year, God brought me back to that, what he told me. And so God felt like, okay, what's next, God? Every year I'm having these events. What is next? I was like, it gotta be bigger than this. And so what I end up doing is, after the event, I said, I looked at my logo with Fire Leading Ladies, and it's a globe, and it's like going around the world. So it represent, traveling all over. So the Lord said, I want you to get up out of Polk County. I need you to go somewhere else. So next year, Flowers in the Garden is going to New York. And what I end up doing is, I got some great things going on for next year. But I partner with a shelter because I believe always, wherever I go, I got to pour in. I got to pour.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know people, and I love, just pouring into women who I don't know me, and I'm able to leave a print, that these women came through and they blessed us. So we're gonna be doing something. I have one day that I'm gonna set aside in New York to be able to go in and do something, some special stuff for
I
these,
love that.
and then also
I
take
love that.
ladies
I
that are.
absolutely love that. Oh my gosh. And I've never been to New York. I'm like, I gotta put that. Like you about to have people trying to get to this event. Like we go to share Sarah Jake's events now. That's what we trying to get to. That's what we trying to get to. We gotta bloom. Like, we gotta be in the flowers in the garden. Look, I love it. I wanted to put this comment up because someone asked, Evangelist Letha May asked, what advice would you give a mother who has dreams and visions, but doesn't have the confidence or the self-esteem or is walking in fear? Evangelist Letha May, listen here. This entire podcast is guiding you there, but we're going to say it again because I'm gonna let Dr. Yard tell you exactly what you should do. It's Donisha. Am I saying your name right? Because I hope it's not Donishia. Am I saying it wrong?
I know my name, so you all right. They call me Donisha, but it is pronounced.
No, listen, I'm a stickler about a name because my entire life people called me by the wrong name and I hated it. So please feel free to correct me. Please.
It's Donishia.
Denisha. Am I
Donishia.
saying it right?
Donishia.
Donishia.
There you go.
Listen, Dr. Donishia. I'm gonna put every syllable that needs to be applicable here, okay? So Dr. Donishia, um, explain to them again, because a lot of women, what I've noticed, we will think a woman is very secure by the way that she dresses, by the way that she carries herself, um, what she drives, etc. And honestly, I meet a lot of dope women that
Hmm.
really talk about being fearful and
Yeah.
are asking, well, how do you do this? And I could never do that. And I'm looking at them like,
Mm.
I really thought you could. Like, what do you mean? So pour into the women that are watching, the men that are watching, etc. Again, tell them what it takes. Someone who has dreams and visions, but they just don't have the confidence or the self-esteem to make it happen.
So, well, can you hear me? Something transition here. Okay. So, first I would say, well, before like just if I know they have low self-esteem, I will begin to pour into them. To figure out, get into the root of why do they not have the self-esteem that they should have. And a lot of times, we have young ladies that are insecure about themselves because of the word curses, the things that people have spoken over their life. And so basically identifying that thing first will be able to open their mind, a spirit up to be able to understand that whatever it is that they want to do, they have the ability to do it if they put their mind, their heart to it. And as I mentioned in the last conversation with Sequoia,
Yeah.
that, basically letting her know that, you can be whatever you want to be. And sometimes, we have dreams and we have goals, we have visions, but is the time right? Is this the time? Because sometimes God can give us things and right now because we want it, and then we abort it or we don't go as far as we can with it because we didn't have the right things, people, resources in
Yeah.
place. So my advice to that young lady would be first, my thing would be to build her up first, so that way she can believe again if she have not ever believed. Um, so, and then let her know that what are you afraid of? What are you
Yeah.
afraid of?
Yeah.
Right now, you are in a fearful moment, and if you don't get out of that moment, you're gonna be stuck. So what is it? I'd rather be fearful to step out than being fearful at a standstill.
Listen,
What do you have to lose?
listen. That's good.
What do you have to
That's a
lose?
good one.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Because if you don't do anything, what you're guaranteed to do is not have any motion, but you never know what's going to happen once you start making steps and taking those steps. Like
Hmm.
that's where it is. That's where it is. So that's good stuff. All right. We have, is it Shandaria? Shandaria says, how long did it take for you to have good profits from your business? How did you get through the financial hardship while having your children? That's a very good question.
Yes. So actually, when I started out with truck now logistics, that was not a successful business in the end. And the reason why I say it was successful because I ended up, and that's funny, taking me to this story. But I would, when I, me being a broker, I ended up taking over Jacob's Trucking over in Lake Alfred, and we had trucks and trailers, and that trucking side of things actually failed. And
Wow.
so, yeah, it failed. And for many reasons, and going into partnership with other people, whatever. I was already doing my thing, and then that's why I was very careful too to make sure who you go in partnership with. And it almost happened to me again. So I had partnership with that, and when I was by myself, I was good. So even when it come down to going into business with people, I don't have any business partners in my businesses other than Firehouse Up, which is my husband. But I realized that some people don't have the same motives you have. Some
Yeah.
people don't have the same drive as you, and some people are in it for different reasons. So even when I started out in integrity care, no one, a lot of people do not know this. But I went into when because I didn't have the money. We kind of talked about it a little bit because I didn't have no money, right? So I met this Indian lady, and she was like, "Oh, Donisha, you come in with real estate. I got real estate, and you bring the group homes in. You start the group homes, and we have real estate. We still been together." So I was like, "Okay, that's dope. We can do that. Canadians got that money.
Yeah.
So they had, she had $1 million. Her brother was sending money in or whatever. So I brought in my expertise with the group homes, and she brought the money in, and she added me in on the real estate side. So the first year, I explained to her, I said, listen, this is not a type of business that you can try to gain profit from. I said, you may get a paycheck and we may not get a paycheck, but we're trying to build this thing or whatever the case may be so it can stand on its own, and then we will be employees doing
Yeah.
XYZ. So, but she didn't want to be no employee. She just wanted the money. I said, baby, you can't get no money if you ain't,
Right.
whatever. You can get your money back what you put in, but you ain't,
Right.
you know. So she got so angry. Before she got angry with me, we had a $1 million deal. This was back in 2010. 2010 when I first started business. My business supposed to have failed. Hear me now. It supposed to have failed. This lady that had all this money, power, and all that
Right.
stuff. She ended up saying that, oh, I'm gonna take the money from the real estate. You just keep the group homes, and you got to get out. Now, remind you, the house that we were in was the house that her brother had purchased for us to do the group homes. So she ended up calling the agency and told them that I'm going to be evicted from the house and that the kids ain't got nowhere to go and all of that. I got chills telling this story. Oof.
Oh, wow. Oh,
But
wow.
so I had 72 hours. She put all the money at the bank. I had 72 hours to end up trying to see where I'm going to place these children at. So at this time, I had a home in Winter Haven, and so the people that know about licensing and stuff like that, you got to make sure it's zoned and all that stuff like that or whatever.
She put all the money out. I had no money, $0 in the bank. I had to go to my mom, my sister, and them, telling them, hey, listen, I need y'all help. I need y'all to give me some money to show, because she told them I already ain't had no money, which I didn't have no money. She put all the money out.
Right.
And she ended up, so my mom dealing with my income tax time. To God be the glory.
I know
So,
that's right. I know that's right.
so I told him, I said, if y'all would just give me all y'all money, all y'all guys need to put this money in the bank account to show,
Just give
you
it
know,
help.
give me some help, type this check, help, that help. So I said, I promise I pay y'all money back, you know. So I ended up going to so check this out. So I ended up saying, you know what, I give it all up. I just felt like I had to save these children. So I ended up going to the city. When I tell you, within 24 hours, I was able to get everything approved from DCL, from the health inspection, the fire inspectors, all within 24 hours. I had
Wow.
72 hours to move out, to get them relocate those children before I lose everything. So I don't even know why I went there,
Goodness.
but I moved out my house. I moved out my house to put those children there. Woo.
Oh my gosh.
Telling you. So when I tell you, people don't understand. They see your glory, they don't know your story. So
Right.
everything's always easy. You know what I'm saying? So like certain things like that bring back things to my remembrance. But I forgot about that. And Shandera, you brought that up, because there are sometimes you will experience hardship. You know, and then when it comes to answer your question about the profit or whatever, I don't look at. I mean, I know this cliche, whatever. I don't look at the profit, because if I focus on the profit, then I will get in a stuck place, because sometimes when you looking at how much money you're making, you feel like you can't make enough. So I don't
Yeah.
look at it. As long as I'm able, I set my thing in place. Like I said, I ain't got no money. You know what I'm saying? I can paycheck like everybody else do. So
Yeah.
even like these businesses, I don't be like, oh, I'm pulling him, pulling that. I get checks, honey. I live paycheck to paycheck just like you do.
Absolutely.
You know? But when it's
Yeah.
time for me to move, invest, I got you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, but no, yeah. So I hope I did. It said hardship while having your children. How did you get through?
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah. You
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I got through it by praying and trusting God.
listen, girl. I'm gonna tell you. Here's my question. Now, here's just my question. Where do you go to pray? How do you pray? Because you are obviously one of God's favorites. What is your method? And I'm being funny, but I'm being very serious, because I think that I know for a fact that you got to know how to pray. You got to
Mm-hmm.
be a believer. All of these things come to you, and they happen for you because you believe and you pray on it, and you know that God is going to deliver on his promises.
Yes.
So in your strength and your faith, what's your method of just giving it all to God, just giving him the glory, just having that time of prayer with him? What does that look like for you?
I'm constantly meditating throughout the day. There's not a time that I'm not meditating. Even like if I'm working, I'm still like I got something in my spirit that I'm just talking to him. So every day throughout the day I'm communing with him. So like some people may, for each his own. I don't go down on my knees, all throughout the day. I don't do that. But I meditate on him and tell him how good he is. God, I appreciate you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I am today. I think you've been a mind a keeper, been a mind regulator. And so my thing is being able to give God everything. I don't do anything without talking to him
Yeah.
first.
Hmm.
I don't. So when I do something, I say, God, you did that. You did your thing. You did a big one on that one, God. I
Yeah.
give him
Yeah.
all the I give him all the credit. I never say when people say, oh, Donishia, oh no, don't give me no credit now, because guess what? Donishia lose it all. But God, listen, if it's his, ain't nothing taken away from him.
Right.
So that's my daddy. My daddy got everything. So that's how I talk. Like I ain't got nothing. They say,
Yeah.
nah, you
Look.
got. I ain't got
Yeah.
nothing. You better talk to my father.
That's
He
what
got it
it.
all. Hmm.
I know that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
And
And
I
that, that
just,
keeps
I,
that keeps you humble though. So being able to say, like when you say, kill your flesh and let, bring up under subjection, things like that or whatever, it keeps you in a humble state. Because sometimes people you don't see people get a big head and they feel like they're arrived or whatever.
yeah,
No, none of us, we ain't arrived yet. Even though I have what I have and I do what I do, I still have not yet arrived. I
yeah,
said, God, there's still work for me to do. So I never get to a place where I'm comfortable. Because when you get to a place where you're comfortable, that's when the enemy can slip right up under you and take everything, the very thing you work hard for. So
absolutely. That's good. That's very true. You posted something. I want to say, was it this month? I want to say it was this month, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But you posted kind of like an interlude, like you teased it and you talked about and you stated like, don't tell me what God can't do because I just signed such and such deal with so much land. And I want to say that you kind of left it where you'll
Mm-hmm.
tell what it's for later, but it's just something that you've always wanted to do. And so have you shared yet what that is?
I have
Okay.
not. I
But
have
we
not
know that
shared.
it is something in the making.
It's something.
Tell me how excited it's brewing. I know that's right. You better cook it up. I know that's right. So, with that being in the makings, and I feel that it's going to be huge. It's going to be shocking. It's going to be epic. You know, it's going to be some people that's really going to want to talk to you. So, in the waiting of that,
Hmm.
how does that feel that you know that that deal is solidified?
You know, the funny thing is, I wasn't looking for it. Somebody just called me up, you know, and that's when they said that your blessings will run you down. Like when you in position, when you position, that's why you got to be careful to be in the right place at the right
Yeah,
time, you know, because you just never know when that phone call gonna come. You know, so when I did get the phone call, and it's one of my clients in Houston, and so he called me up and he said, Denisha, he's like, you know, this is, you know, guys, opportunity, whatever. I want you to be a part of it. I said, like, who, me? Like, Brown, you know, who, me? You know, because he do some big things up in Texas. You know, I'm a little country girl from Polk County, you know.
right.
I'm doing little things, but I ain't doing it like that, you know. And so he was like, yeah. He said, I need you. I'm like, who, me? So I kept on. So now my whole thing is who, me? You
Yo,
know,
who?
because yeah, because that, I mean, and even that, I'm like, so. But then when I was like, wait, what we got to do here? You know, and so, but then when it's something that's already in you, and the Lord has already given you the roadmap and the plan, where you really don't have to do nothing on the end, do just here you go. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow, God, you are a he blows your mind, you know. So
Yeah,
you hear me constantly saying that because God is so good. He is so good, and I know, like I put all my trust, my faith in Him, and so with this opportunity here, I'm like, my tell my baby, you who taking over integrity? You know, you ready to be a CEO? You ready to be executive director? You ready? You know, but I do have a great team though with
yeah.
integrity. Because I don't plan on staying in the seat of the executive director. I do within the next year plan to pass the baton. You know, because there are things that I'm, you know, a lot of projects that I'm working on, and so I plan on retiring in 5 years.
I
You
know
know,
that's right. In
yeah.
5 years.
Oh yeah, maybe 4 years. I plan on retiring and just you know, traveling, educating the system, because my dream. So we talking about dreams. My dream is to be able to educate the with the state dealing with legislation when it come down to trauma informed and kids in foster care and children that's been abused and abandoned. So that is the reason why that I do have my degrees, because I want to be credible, you know, be able to let individuals know that I understand how the brain work. You know, I'm one that have experienced the trauma. You know, I've been there. You know, where you losing your family, having incarceration of your family members, and you know, things like that or whatever. I
Yeah.
understand being a runner and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So there is a lot of things. Like I have a book that I'm writing, and I've been writing it for a couple of years. Now it's like I ain't got another published
Yeah.
book. Listen, it's the hardest book ever. Listen, I can when it comes out of business, I pop, 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 pop. But with this book here, because it's so it's sensitive, you know, and it is going to reveal a lot of things. But the book is called Understanding the Language of Silent Tears,
Mhm.
and that is going to be that book is oof, it's going to be a tearjerker, you know, because a lot of times we cry and people don't even know we're crying,
That's
you
very
know,
true.
and so my tears may not look like your tears, you know. So I want to be more focused on, you know, helping people be healthy, not just, you know, healthy with finances, but healthy spirit,
Yeah.
mind, body, soul,
Right.
you know, so that you can enjoy the fruit of your labor. You know, because you have a lot of people
Yes.
have a lot of money, but when people so miserable, I say, I don't want to be like that.
Yes.
Not me. You know. So yeah.
Yes. Now, so how can we purchase the first book that you have? Mind Your Business, 9 Keys to Building a Purposeful Business. How can we purchase that book?
Amazon. So mine is Mistakes Inspired a New Direction. That's why you see those dots in between. So,
I love that.
hmm so Amazon. So you like with one that book, you can just Google Donishia Yarde, and then my other books you'll do Dr. Donishia Yarde, and I have some journals and things like that out there as well. I have like 2 journals that I did. So
Listen, okay, I just counted 13, 14, 15. Now I'm adding to the list. I am adding to the list. Dr. Donishia Yarde. Listen, I'm gonna say your name properly. Listen, I gotta get it together phonetically. Listen, you deserve it. You deserve it. I wanted to ask you before we left because I know brain work is very significant in your mindset, what your belief system is. It's very important to your success. And so explain to everyone out there, you have a doctorate in positive neuropsychology. Explain to everyone what that entails. What is that?
So I have a book that's called Optimizing the Mind. So you can get that on Amazon too.
Okay.
So basically, it breaks down like the chemical, like sometimes we don't know why we do what we do, and
Mhm.
sometimes it comes back to the adolescent stage, things are happening, traumatic events, and things like that. So it teaches you how to rationalize what is real and what is not real. I don't know if you remember this movie. A lot of people haven't seen that movie, but it's called oh God, I want to say Green Island or Island. I can't remember the name of the movie, but gosh,
But is
but
it so I
Shutter
can
Island. It was called Shutter Island.
okay,
And
okay.
so this man, he was kind of crazy a little bit, but the movie kind of twisted you to make you think that he thought he was the psychiatrist, but he wasn't psychiatrist. He's actually the patient. And so with like having positive reinforcement, thinking like it kind of like triggers you to
Yeah,
think positive when you
right.
have had traumatic events. So that is why I do what I do, because a lot of people are negative when they come out of trauma versus positive. So if you do
Right.
positive reinforcement, you can be better in every area of your life. So it's just basically, and it helps me too. So let me tell you a little secret,
Yeah.
right? So I know there's a lot of people on here, but my secret,
Yeah.
so my secret to like me becoming a mental health counselor and then studying the mind is to help me. It was basically for me. It
Yeah.
wasn't because I
Yeah.
really wanted to do therapy and stuff with people, but I have that skill, I have that asset, be able to do that, do the work. But I want to understand me, like, girl, why you be tripping like that? Why you be
Listen,
like, you know what I'm saying? Girl, it's serious. So yeah. So I make my money by helping my own self.
you got a whole doctorate degree to understand yourself.
Hello, understand me, honey. I'm a
I
work in
need to understand
progress.
me.
Yes, I can help. How can I help you understand you? I don't understand me. So,
Right.
you know.
If
So
that doesn't sound like something that I literally, that sounds like something that I would have said.
I'm
I'm trying to tell you.
serious, girl. I can
I'm
help
telling
myself
you
first.
that, girl, that journey to self-discovery, like
Uh huh.
when we were talking about like how like grown women just have this mindset, and we all continue to grow and we find ourselves, but I don't know, lately, like I'm about to turn 45 this year in October, and I'm like, it's like I'm rediscovering myself. Like,
Hmm.
I cannot believe that I no longer like to do that anymore. Or
Right.
I cannot believe that I no longer see this situation with the same lens anymore. It is amazing to me,
Yeah.
this self-discovery journey that I'm on. So
Yes.
like for you to say that, I look, I totally 100% get it.
It's
I
real.
get it. I get it. And so I just wanted to ask you, is there anything that you feel that we haven't covered in this interview? Because the whole point of this interview, I wanted to give you a space because you definitely were on my list of people that I really wanted to really connect with eventually, and I'm so glad that that eventually became Monday, September 23rd. So I'm excited about that and grateful, truly grateful for you giving up your time for it. But the purpose, I always want people be inspired. I want people to see that we all have a comeback story. There are trials and tribulations that we go through, but it is nothing that we cannot come back from. Just a
That's right.
formula to it. And you literally are the blueprint to that formula in my
Oh,
brain. And so I hope people have been inspired, and I know they have because I've been reading the comments. But is there anything that you would like to leave the audience with? Is there anything that you have also upcoming that you want to promote? I'm going to give you this opportunity to do so.
not necessarily. I'm behind the scene type person. I'm sporadically. I'm saying I do pop up and do stuff. But I do appreciate all of you all for your love and support. I would like to say that first and foremost, and thank you for
Absolutely.
inviting me on this platform. And to be honest with you, I was like, I should have back guy. I hate to talk. Look, now I wouldn't need you like that. I wouldn't do you like that. But I did seriously. I was like, oh my God. I said, I just hate talking. I can do one-on-one really good. So I was like, well, this would be good because I don't see nobody. I just see me and you. So I'm good.
Right. Listen, and I'm telling you, and it's making an impact. Like it's good. It works like when you see it playing back, like you'll be like, oh, okay. Now listen. Now you
Yeah.
absolutely on November 9th from noon to
Okay.
5, you absolutely
Okay.
have an open invite. It will be an in-person podcast
Okay.
experience. I'm celebrating 3 years of podcasting. And so we
Okay.
just take this thing live, like it's in front of a live studio audience. And so listen,
I come to
you are
support.
cordially invited to share that stage time if you so choose to want to take me up on that offer. And girl, yes, it will be live. Where do you need to show up at the Lakeland Well? What's the location? The
Woo!
Lakeland Well. I'll be a
Okay.
live studio audience. So if you want to take advantage of that opportunity, definitely feel free. You have an open invite. Like I would love to have you there. So just let me know. I know you say you're like a behind the scenes person. Not
Don't
necessarily. No
don't be harmful.
announcements. Like we're not making announcements. Like that's what Marius was talking about, that humbleness. So yeah, you better pop your collar. Pop your collar.
Ooh, you have me sweating right here, honey. Like, whew.
It's and you know what, it feels good, like just
Yeah.
talking to you, like your smile, it feels good. Like I'm telling y'all, if you saw her on paper, and you did see her on paper because I put her entire bio that she gave me
And you
on
did.
Facebook, and I do that on purpose. Like I did that with somebody else, and they were like, Jazz, you want me to read all that? Yes, I
Yeah.
do. Because think about the things that you've gone through, the things that you have
Mm,
accomplished. Like that is just pure motivation for someone. Like what people say, and what I've truly been paying attention to lately is when people say, what's most important about my life is that dash
mhm,
in between when I was born and when it's time for me to die and leave here. What's very important is that dash. And so
mhm.
I have just been committed lately to giving people their flowers and giving them as much in that dash that I can give on my platform. And it's like, look, you've done some things. Like you're gonna be humble. You probably write your own and just say, just talk about this. Don't talk about it. No, babe. We putting the whole
Yeah.
we
No.
putting it all from beginning
Yeah.
to end because you deserve it. Like you deserve your flowers. Just like you give every woman a flower at your event, you deserve your flowers,
Mhm.
sis. And although this
Thank
is my
you.
first time meeting you, talking with you, not even in person, but just talking to you face
Right.
to face, I just wanted to give you your flowers on this episode of this podcast because I look up to you, I respect you,
Oh,
and just the vibes that you give on social media, the word of mouth of everything that people have said about you, it's always been positive, and I get the vibe that they are right. So I'm grateful,
oh,
and thank
thank
you so much
you.
for pouring into my audience on this episode.
Yes, I want to say one last thing. So, the one thing I would like to tell everyone, do not let anyone kill your dreams,
Yes,
not even
absolutely,
yourself.
absolutely. I like that. I think that is very great to end with. Thank you so much for that word. Thank you so much for your
Mhm.
positivity. Thank you so much for your affirmation to women out there who are second guessing themselves. Like you got to make sure that you know who
Yeah.
you are, that you are
Hmm.
building yourself up every single day. You got to make sure that you are praying
That's
Make sure
right.
that you know how to use the right resources and you use those resources effectively and you make sure you put in the work. It is not going to happen if you do not put in the work.
That's
All
right.
right. So you got to make sure you put in the work. And so thank you so much for
You're welcome.
sharing your time, Dr. Donishia Yarde. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being my special guest for episode 134. Thank you to
Okay.
those of you who tuned in to this episode. Remember, you can catch this episode on Facebook, IG, and on YouTube live. It will be there. So I want you to subscribe, to follow, to like, to leave and review in the comment section. And definitely by word of mouth, let people know. I'm trying to brush shoulders with the right person. And for the most part, not even for the most part, but God has sustained me and
Yeah.
He is opening doors. And so I wish blessings to you out there, my Jazzie crew. And I will see you back here on Monday for a new episode at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I cannot wait to see you at my 3-year podcast anniversary live show. It's going down on November 9th from noon to 5 p.m. Vendors, food trucks. We're going to have photo stations. I have performances, live performances, a live DJ. DJ Ken Blaze will be on the ones and twos, and I have tons of special guests. So get your tickets on eventbrite.com right now because I want to see you in the building. And so, without further ado, make sure that you understand that you can come back from anything. And remember, right here, all gold diggers are welcome. That's GOAL. I will see you guys on next Monday. Have a good
Right.
night, Dr.
Good
Donishia.
night.
Dr.
Good night.
Donishia Yarde, y'all.
Hey, thank
Have
you.
a good
Good
day.
night. Good night.